Howdy, folks. So today we're going to be talking through 5.5 Part 2. Right? I can explain the unequal impact of post-World War II on whites, women, and people of color. All right, we've got some great pictures here. Look at that beautiful washing machine. Oh my gosh, look at this beautiful oven. Look at all of these happy white people at home. That's kind of the ideal image of the booming 50s, the post-war boom, right? So, really quickly, backlash. What do you think it is? Just take a minute, write down a guess, maybe talk with someone else. What do you think backlash is? We're going to get into this. This is going to be a theme of U.S. history number B. Take a minute. What is backlash? Just write it down. Brief idea. If you don't know, guess. Just take a guess. Now, cultural changes in post World War II America. This is when rock and roll gets started, right? That's when rock gets popular, right? And this is created mostly this is created almost entirely from the African American community, right? This is a very much jazz and blues influenced, right? Think of those guitar heavy types of genre here. So Chuck Berry is a major player in the start of rock and roll in that decade of the 50s, right? Sister Rosetta Tharpe is also someone who kind of comes up with um, a lot of these riffs and kind of trademark things that come from the rock era. All right. So, right after World War II, remember, all of these men come home from war, and the idea is all of the women are going to get married, right? And instead of doing what they want, right? Instead of Rosie the Riveter out here, right? We can do it. I can do anything. I can build these massive machines of war, right? They expect women to just kind of like go to the household, right? Become the perfect ideal housewife, doing the laundry and the dishes and this and that and the other, and not having any other work and not wanting to have any other work, right? So the idea of getting more education or having a more fulfilling job is just kind of pushed to the side, right? If you're going to have a job, you're going to have a low paying service job. You'll be a typist or something like that, right? Someone who types, who transcribes. Right. So, a couple key presidential events here, right? President Truman's Fair Deal. He's riffing off of the New Deal, right? Our plan is to increase the economy and kind of bump it up by increasing the minimum wage, creating national health care, and President Eisenhower, the guy who follows Truman, right? So it goes FDR, and then after FDR dies, Truman is the vice president. Truman takes power. Truman is elected, right? And then after Truman, we've got President Eisenhower, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who is one of the victorious generals during the Second World War, right? His idea is conservative with money, liberal with people, right? Be fiscally conservative and be socially liberal. And that's kind of the foundation of the modern Republican Party. And we'll get back to that soon. Now, economic changes are happening post World War II. We have a changing labor force, right? So we have all of these people who were working in factories, were making kind of weapons of war, were doing construction work. They are starting to get more and more white collar. White collar are kind of colloquialism, terms for people who work in offices, people who don't work with their hands, right? So, generally speaking, if you do blue collar work, you are paid hourly. Generally speaking, if you do white collar work, you are paid by salary, right? You get a set amount of money regardless of the number of hours you work. Okay, so along with these big changes, along with these big economic changes, are the creation of suburbs, right? All of these places like Roseville, like Wayzata, like Eden Prairie, all of these places like Oakdale out in St. Paul, around St. Paul, rather, right? All of those places are being created, and connecting them is a national highway system, right? More people are living farther away, so the roads need to accommodate more people. And rather than doing things like connecting people by train, which is how they've kind of adopted in places like India and China and Europe, the US is saying, well, we can build roads and everyone can have their own car. And there will be a lot of people, making cars, repairing cars, working on cars, right? And that is one of the key parts of how America is still affected by the 50s today, the interstate highway system, right? You look at all of these highways, my goodness, most of them most of them started out in the 1950s, right? This leads to creation of new businesses, right? Because all of these new suburbs need grocery stores, need um, auto repair places, right? Need all these different types of shops and whatnot, right? This is also important to the country's defense. So in Germany, you may have heard of the Autobahn system, but that is what inspired the interstate highway system. Germany is very densely connected by rail, by trains, but Germany also has a very famous Autobahn system, and Eisenhower, after smashing up Germany, kind of looked at their system and was like, oh, gee, we could do that. And that way, if our country's rail network are knocked out, we have a backup. We can move tanks from place to place without needing railroads, right? That's why Eisenhower is a big proponent of the interstate highway system. Now, another fun fact that I love to talk about with the interstate highway system is for great lengths of it, for every 5 miles of interstate highway, 1 mile needs to be completely straight, right? And that is so that if planes runways get destroyed, or a plane is needing to take an emergency landing, they can land on the interstate, right? It's great for a country's defense. It's a very smart system. Now, a few major medical advancements. Polio is cured. Polio is a scourge on the population. You see these braces like Forrest Gump had, right? That's from polio. Franklin Delano Roosevelt almost entirely lost use of his legs through polio. And polio is cured in the 1950s, right? The first open heart surgery, which has saved countless lives in America since then. Artificial heart valves are invented, right? This is something that is still being used today, right? Ultrasounds to check on the health of babies helps both mom and baby make sure that the pregnancy is safe. First kidney transplant is happening at this time, right? We are advancing leaps and bounds now, but the foundation is laid here at this point, and the pacemaker, right, which helps to make sure that your heart rhythm is regulated, helps increase life expectancy. All of these things help increase life expectancy a tremendous amount. And the foundation for a lot of these medical advancements is here in the 1950s. All right, folks, that's all. If you have any questions, please let me know.